I'm going to be explaining the code for my Hackathon 2021 submission. I use Flask for the server and HTML and CSS and JavaScript for the client. On the server, I'm first just importing my modules. I'm using Flask PyMongo to access MongoDB, which I use to store the data. Flask QR code to generate the QR codes. Flask bcrypt to hash and salt the passwords. And Flask cores to provide APIs. First, I'm just initializing everything. And then I'm reading the data from the config file, which contains the app secrets, such as the MongoDB connection URL and the secret key. And I'm also opening the events.json and read and like redeemables, which just gives like the events and the redeemables. So before the request, I'm just making sure that's HTTPS. This is for Heroku. And then I'm creating a route for like home, login, sign up, and more. So for each route, I'm just doing some basic Flask, such as checking if the user is logged in and having stuff like that. So yeah, that is pretty much all of the Flask portion. Then for each of the HTML files, I use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Jinja, which is a templating engine for Flask, all together to create the website. Now, an overview on how I did this. Number one, server Flask, front-end HTML, CSS, JavaScript, as I already mentioned. Number two, MongoDB to store the users and their passwords. I hashed the user's passwords using Flask bcrypt, QR code to generate the QR codes. Now, I've mentioned that. Now, to show you the database. So, as you can see, this password isn't in plain text. And so yeah, it's hashed, actually. So this means that you're hashing the password, so converting it into something, like else, some random text that you cannot undo. And you're also salting, and I'm also salting it, which means that I'm adding some random text at like the end and some like scattering it throughout to make it like seem sort of like, you know, indecipherable. So yeah, this is how I store the data. I just stored email, password is hashed and salted, and I just have an admin if they're false or true. And yeah, that's pretty much the storing the data. Next, I deployed it to Heroku. I really like Heroku, which is why I chose it. And yeah, not much to Heroku. It's really simple. And yeah. I also pushed it to GitHub, and I set up live, like, so like whenever I push it to GitHub, it also pushes it to Heroku. So if I just pop over to here, yeah, this is my repository. And as you can see, whenever I push it to Heroku, it also, whenever I push it to GitHub, it also pushes it to Heroku. And that is my submission for the Hackathon 2021 Banking and Finance. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.